Hey everybody, just gonna get cracking on this latest job. It's just come through. It's still very much summer here in Sydney. So a lot of annoying muggy days. Running the fan constantly and making sure the electric bill isn't too high when you turn on the air conditioner. Actually, speaking of which, I'm gonna chuck on the aircon. If it's still too muggy. Hope everyone has returned to school and work and whatever you need to do or be to get ahead in life. I hope you've been able to make that transition out of the holiday season and back into what you're supposed to be doing. This pen's starting to run a bit low. as my first official TikTok live stream for February 2026. And I am also live on YouTube. I'd like to say hi to everybody. I'm going to be going live sort of a fair amount over this and next week, as I'll be going away for a while. I mean, I'll still try to go live when I can, but I think it'll just be easier for me to post some pre-recorded stuff and call it a day. Just a heads up, I can't, because of the way I've got my setup, I can't really read the chat. Because I just can't see it from this angle. So I'm going to try and keep this one to about an hour to an hour and 15, if I can. Like, in terms of detail, it's actually not as complicated as some of the other ones I've done. Thank you. I appreciate you dropping by to say hi. And I will just remind everyone that I can't really see from this angle the chat, so I can't really interact too much. I mean, I'll occasionally like get up from what I'm doing and check, but for the most part, I just can't keep track of the chat. So this is a commission job that I'm doing for a client. So most of what you'll see me doing on the live stream will either be sketch jam, which is something I do more for fun, and this kind of stuff, which is the paid work that I do. And sometimes it's also for gifts, so there's that as well. It really depends on the circumstances. That's the most fun part about drawing like random stacks of paper that are sort of haphazardly made into a beach lounge chair. Like it's unorthodox reading material. It's unorthodox sitting material, but I figured, you gotta make these. You gotta try to make these at least a little bit like not so much funny, but visually interesting. Because quite often you'll be drawing somebody who works as an accountant, or who does like data analysis, and you just think, how do I make this person funny, or how do I make what they do, even mildly amusing, because you kind of want to make them enjoy the fact that they probably are in a job that they never really thought that was going to be like their vocation, and for whatever reason, they're doing something that they might not see as or maybe they do, like, but you want to make their job seem a bit more dynamic or a little bit more quirky, or you know. And you want to tell a story with all the background elements too. Sort of have it fanning out a little bit. So the brief for this one, the guy in it, he's sitting on the beach. Here in Sydney, we have the northern beaches. We've got obviously Bondi, Manly, Coogee, Bronte. We had tons of beaches. So they wanted him sitting on the beach, reading public relations reviews, and like a whole stack of them. And I thought, I'll try to make it sort of amusing as best I can. Also, he wants a Vespa scooter in the background, or some kind of equivalent scooter. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Vespa. just a small easy to ride motorbike. Like, I've always thought about getting one of these, but I don't know. I like driving just a regular car too much. Like, I went on a road trip like almost 2 decades, like nearly 20 years ago, and I traveled from Sydney to Melbourne on the back of a motorbike. And my God, quite possibly the most arduous and dangerous decisions I've ever made. Like, I didn't appreciate, like, the risk at the time, but I've now witnessed, well, not witnessed, but like firsthand, but I've seen the aftermath of too many motorcycle accidents to really ever trust that as a form of transportation. Like, even having a skateboard just never really appealed to me that much. Like, I remember, back in high school and stuff, there would always be, you know, at least half a dozen dudes that would, go to school on a skateboard. And they took really good care of it, they'd basically, keep it near them during school hours, and once the day was done, they'd get home slightly faster than the other students who were walking. I mean, I remember borrowing a friend's skateboard once and trying to ride it home after hanging out at his place. And I just recall nearly crashing about a dozen, maybe 2 dozen times. Because going uphill is an absolute agony, and going downhill, while easier, is just as dangerous. Because there's really no, like, way to stop when you're riding a skateboard. You can sort of brake, but if you're a newbie like me, trying to slow down was basically impossible. Like, all these things that was kind of what life was like before the internet pretty much really took over everything. Like there was a few good years where like the internet hadn't completely like decimated all outdoor activities to some degree. I'm not saying the internet has completely, run amok. I mean, there's still plenty of stuff that you can do that you don't need to be online for. Hey guys, hope all is well. I try to sort of incorporate a bit of story time with my live streams. And let me just check on something. Getting the text. So skateboarding, breakdancing, and parkour were kind of really taking off around the time that I sort of stopped finding all those kinds of things interesting. It's a bit weird, like, because I'm an older millennial, I'm still young enough to appreciate like nostalgia, like 80s nostalgia for what it was. But I'm also old enough to remember that most of what happened, particularly during like the early 80s, leading up until like the 90s and stuff, you know, people unfortunately were meaner back then. And technology just wasn't that great. The music was awesome, but pretty much all the adults in my life smoked. The great thing about this particular kind of pen is it's a Japanese brush tip, and it's actually more built for like calligraphy, but you can get this very ultra fine line as well as a really nice thin to thick. So yeah, I buy these from Daiso, which is just a little Japanese owned, like it's like a convenience store. It's absolutely fantastic. So I remember, you know, a lot of the kids were getting into breakdancing, and I kind of liked breakdancing as well when I was a bit younger, but I only really did the robot stuff. Like I attempted the rolling around on the floor and flipping style of breakdancing, but you know, when the only thing protecting you from, the solid slab of concrete is like a cardboard box that's been, cut open and flattened out, there's really not much of an incentive to learn. And I think the fact that what's her face, who was in the Olympics, can't remember. I think her name's Raygun. Like, her performance at the Paris Olympics is pretty much the only thing anyone will ever remember, aside from like maybe a handful of other, interesting little footnotes. Like the Winter Olympics is happening pretty soon. I've never been a particularly big fan of the Olympics. Just like in general. Like I get that it's got a lot of history and it's it's just sort of got a lot of cultural significance. But on the other hand, it's like you do realize that most of the countries that win building contracts for the Olympics end up going broke, or like, you know, the Olympic villages that they build end up costing them way more money than they ever really were expecting to pay. So I'm drawing this one in grayscale. As is the custom with pretty much all of these. Or as Grandpa Simpson would say, which was the style at the time. Just realized how close to dead so many of these pens are. See, that's the other issue with using alcohol-based pens. They give up the ghost, or in this case, the spirit. See, I was never too much into breakdancing. I mean, breakdancing's still pretty big, but not like it was back in like the early 2000s. That was everywhere. Oh, gotta be careful. And yeah, blocking in color. not to get too aggressive, especially with like a chisel tip, because it restricts how much surface area you can adequately cover. So it's all about with these kinds of pens, it's about building up the tones and the shadows. So this is a nice one. This is the brush marker that Copic does. These nice, very even tones in color. That's what I love about these particular type of pens. Problem is, because they're made in Japan, they're very expensive. Like these are basically close to, if not at the top of the line. The Cool Grey 10 is probably a bit too heavy for this one. So I'll just switch to the 8 for the suitcase. I've got a new live stream coming up tomorrow where I'm finishing my caricature resolution. Should be a fun watch if you're interested. Yeah, it's getting pretty close to finish this one. I'll be right back. And yeah, a lot of these pens, unfortunately, are on their last legs. I'm going to give them a peaceful send-off, but usually it just boils down to abandoning them and chucking them out. And doing what you can to blend them. Some lighter tones. So what was I talking about? Oh, that's right. Yeah, skateboarding was overrated, although I did very much enjoy playing Tony Hawk. That game was the best. Because for somebody who had really no money or intention to learn how to skate, Tony Hawk Pro Skater was by far the best workaround system for the guy that didn't want to skin his knees or break his neck. Because that's the problem, like skateboarding as a sport, which is interestingly enough another sport that is in the Olympics that but still makes no sense to me as to why it's there. Because whenever I see like, you know, competitive skateboarding show up on the roster of, you know, different events, I just keep thinking, how do you do, fellow kids, you know, from 30 Rock? Just picturing Steve Buscemi showing up to the ramps. Kind of reminds me of an old meme that I saw. It's a picture of Angelina Jolie and a young Steve Buscemi. And the caption reads, "One of these people is considered the most beautiful in Hollywood and the other one among the most ugliest. But for a brief shining moment, they looked identical." Or something to that effect. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but yeah. Sort of a reverse version of be careful who you make fun in high school kind of thing. I mean, me personally, I tried to make amends as best I could. But high school was, you know, not a fun place. Though weirdly enough, I started to really kind of enjoy it towards the end. You know, when your days are kind of numbered when it comes to you know, some like a part of your life, and you just think, look, I will, and like you kind of know, like you don't appreciate it at the time because you're still a dumb teenager, but you kind of know that you'll never like be able to forge any more positive experiences like after a certain amount of time. Like once graduation rolls around and you sort of say the key goodbyes, you know, you're never going to go back. So what I ended up doing was trying to sort of squeeze as many, like, you know, relatively positive experiences. Like it was difficult because, you know, high school is so boring. But like just knowing that you're never going back to a place and you're never going to be required to return to there, There's a certain quiet power to that. I actually drove past my old high school for the first time in like 20 years. And it's still there, like, I don't believe there's any plans to have it like torn down, replaced with like a shopping center or whatever. And it serves its role in the community. Like the only time I ever have, like gone back there unironically is to vote. There'll be a state or federal election on, and I'll just, rock up and remember all the places that I used to spend trying to avoid the reality of high school. Yeah, we're getting close to the tail end, guys. I very much appreciate you bearing with me. Let's see. I reckon C7 would be ideal for these background trees. Happy little background trees. Yeah, this one's looking pretty close to finished. Ah. Oh, what's going on? You ever just look at someone and wonder what it's like to be them? Like, I wonder that sometimes, you know? You ever see somebody like, you know, on TV, you know, like a recurring character on a show that you like, and for a moment, like, the camera will just like linger on them, like facial expression or whatever. And just for like a brief couple of seconds, you just think, what was their day like? And they probably just woke up and went to the toilet and got ready for work like the rest of us, but their job involves, you know, being an actor. And always got me thinking, like, because of the work side of creative work, like the behind the scenes stuff, whatever, you know, ends up on the cutting room floor, as it were. That's why there's a disconnect. It's why so many famous people, you know, kind of live in their own private little world. And like, you would too if you were famous enough. Like, I really get the impression that it's very much a go along to get along kind of industry. Throw in some more heavy shadows. Really makes it pop. Now it's slightly sinking into the sand. Not by too much though. Happy trees. When in doubt, black it out. Or use whiteout. Whiteout's surprisingly effective as a tool when you're working in this particular medium. Give it a light spritz. This is just a bit of isopropyl. Helps give the sand a bit of texture. Yeah, that pen's dead. It's a C2, very nice. Excellent pen. Just retiring a whole bunch of these pens. I hope everyone's enjoyed, for the most part, tonight's live stream. I certainly have. A lot of pens are getting retired tonight, that's for sure. Yeah, I think I'll wrap up pretty soon, guys. Just gotta double check something real quick. You can also achieve amazing levels of effects with inexpensive pens. So I got these from Aldi. They're called Creative Place. And you can get 12 of these pens for the cost of a single Copic, which I find is astonishing. Like, obviously the quality is not, in my opinion, as accurate as Copic, but still solid, very solid. Let's see if I can find some other ones. very squeaky. You know, I always tell when one of these pens is brand new because it squeaks a lot. That's the effect I want to get. That's so much cooler. Yes, that's what I like. Gonna chuck some blue green here. Give the trees a bit more texture. should wrap that up nicely. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'll call it there. Thanks so much, guys, for bearing with me and coming to check out the live stream. My name is Ed, and I appreciate all of you guys for stopping by and saying hi and even sticking around to just troll the just to give it a bit of a trolling, as it were. By the way, that speckled effect, instant sand. Especially when you've got pens that are constantly running out like these ones. It's like the perfect cure. So yeah, guys, if you are around tomorrow, sort of this time, I guess, I'll be finishing off the faces for the 2026 celebrities. Should be fun. It's all about building up the layers. With this one, I kind of wanted to go with sort of a Rolling Stone magazine cover kind of look. And I think I've pulled it off. At least I like to think I've pulled it off. Let's see. That's actually a bit too intense. I'm gonna have to smash that down a fair bit. And break it up with the blender. Oh, geez. Actually gone longer than I anticipated. Thanks for joining new people. I appreciate it. I'll be wrapping up fairly soon. Just trying to ameliorate some strange tones here. Nothing I can't fix. All right, cool beans. I will call it in there. Thank you guys very much for tuning in and supporting me on tonight's journey. And I will call it there. Yeah, tune in. I'll have another live on tomorrow, and it should be pretty fun. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one, and I will see ya when I see ya.